everyone. Welcome to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 52. 52. I'm really excited about that episode. We have some big topics, some important topics to talk about today. One of them is really, really serious. The other one is not really so much, although it is a really fun topic to talk about because we get to talk about some PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series mid-gen refreshes already when they're not even in stock still, a year and a half out from release. That's a fun one that we get to talk about today because it's something that TCL of all places put in a presentation, TV manufacturer. So we get to talk about that and more, so much more, because I am your host as always, Nathaniel Janc, and to my left, your guys' right, really in the middle, Mr. Eric Moore is here. How's it going?
Good. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. He's co-host of the podcast, also the co-host of Prime Gaming Fest coming up on June 9th through the 14th.
It's going to be insane.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. We're already building out the schedule. We got Nintendo Academy scheduled in to come on as a special guest on Saturday, I think at 12:30. I can't remember. I have to go check. Maybe it's noon. I got to go double check the times on that. But how's it going, Mr. Mike Perez?
It's going good. Thank you for having me over as a what am I? What am I?
You're sort of like a co-host, but sometimes not.
So thank you for having me over.
You're the third wheel. You're the third wheel.
Thank you for having me as a spare.
As a spare part. You're a spare part.
There you go.
Oh man.
Yeah. Hopefully, hope to have a good podcast tonight.
Yeah. We're gonna start this podcast like we do every show. Talk about what have we been playing lately, and let's start with Eric.
I think I played Lego Star Wars this week. I don't even know if I played anything, to be completely honest. But yeah, I think if anything, it was Lego Star Wars.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's it? That's okay.
My everything.
Hey, I got to the final boss in Kirby.
Oh, nice.
So I'm literally, the next time I turn on my Switch away from being done with, done with Kirby, because I still got to do some arena stuff and maybe go back and try to 100% it if I decide I want to do that. Because part of me wants to get back into Lego Star Wars. And I need to at least finish off the main story in Legends Arceus here eventually, which I know does actually involve catching them all. Because that's like the main plot line in this game. They don't use it as a catchphrase, but you literally have to catch them all. That is the purpose to get to the final spot in the story. So haven't done that yet. Need to get on top of that. Gotta catch them all.
Right.
Copyright. All right. Mike Perez, what have you been playing lately?
I'm playing Animal Crossing. I started my island over.
Haven't heard that one in a long time.
I played Animal Crossing just because it made it to the top 10 most sold games or most played games, most played games. So yeah, I've been I started over the island trying to give some love. I haven't played Kirby in such a long time. I haven't passed it yet, but I have to get back to it a little bit. But that's it. Just this week, just Animal Crossing. That's it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we've all been kind of light gaming lately.
Yeah,
but that happens. I mean, we can't just be balls to the wall all the time. How's the rest of your week been going?
Me or Eric?
You. I'll get to Eric in a moment.
Yeah.
Good, man. Good. Just busy, trying to get things going on the channel and getting ready for what's going to be called the Nintopic podcast.
Yes.
Which is once a month. It's going to be once a month, only once a month.
Do you know when the first episode's coming?
Hopefully at the end of June. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. And so I'm planning on having, of course, I have to have you guys over.
Sweet. We can make that happen.
Eric and Nate. Then I'm going to have also over some voice actors as well. So I'm planning it. I'm only doing it once a month so that I have time to get, guests, good guests over like that. And that way I give guests enough time to prepare and get ready. So hopefully, stay tuned.
I will definitely stay tuned. I can't wait to see how that goes. I heard voice actors in there. I'm really kind of I'm excited about that, to be honest. I love voice actors.
Yeah, I already have confirmed Rosalina. And
Nice.
Going big out the gate.
You're right.
Hopefully she doesn't watch this podcast because I forgot the name. What's her name? Princess. The other one that's not Peach.
Daisy.
Daisy. There we go. Oh my god. Gotta
Is she actually a princess?
I don't
know if Daisy's actually a princess. Is she?
I don't know.
Is it Princess Daisy? I'm actually curious. Like, I don't think they're sisters.
They call her Princess Daisy though, like inside, like indoors, like they call her Princess Daisy.
You mean like on the inside, Princess Daisy?
Yeah, when I introduced her,
she is referred to as a princess.
Yeah, I have to say Princess.
Oh, because she's not a princess of Mushroom Kingdom. She's a princess of Sarasaland.
Interesting.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's according to the official Mario wiki. Which, hey, there's a reason that wikis can't be used as sources, but it is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
As an update as well to all of our listeners, we do have gifted subs at the moment. They do work. You have to tap on the little green icon at the top on your phone in the chat, and then hit allow gifts, and then it should pop off for people who are not subs. So you can become a free member of the board, basically. There's been 10 gifted so far, none claimed. Of course, Eric did it. It sometimes takes a little bit. It's a little finicky because it is a beta program. Mm-hmm. That being said, let's get into our first topic, shall we?
My phone.
We got a very, very serious topic.
Oh man, who died?
Literal people died, actually. Quite a bit of them. So we're going to be talking about violence in video games, and if it is a cause, or if we feel like there's any causation or correlation between violent video games and actual real world violence. Because for those who haven't heard, I don't know where you've been, because even if you ignore news channels, it's all over social media. There was a mass shooting in the United States in Texas at Robb Elementary School. 19 children and 2 teachers died. Several other students were apparently injured, but they're not, all the full details aren't out. And obviously when you're dealing with kids, it's minors. There's going to be a lot of pause on that. I know one of the teachers who died, thanks to Pulte and thousands of other people donating to cover her funeral costs and all that for one of the teachers. But bottom line is, it's obviously something that, if anything, I've grown numb to it in the United States, because I've been hearing these stories pretty much nonstop since Columbine back in the day. That was the first one that I really remember as a kid. Mm-hmm. And since then, it feels like these things are happening almost monthly. It's insane. If not at a school, just mass shootings in general. We just had one in Milwaukee not too long ago, and the same night, 10 people actually died somewhere else at a different mass shooting. Like, we can't even get them on different nights. They're just happening at the same time now these days. That's how common they are in the United States. Now, with this conversation, we're going to try to steer away from political solutions to the problem, and focus more so on the fact that immediately in the aftermath, as has happened for 30 some odd years, a lot of media and even politicians immediately blamed violent video games, because the shooter apparently also played violent video games. And we're going to bring that conversation full head. But before we actually have the actual conversation on if video games correlate to any sort of violence, I do, well, we don't debate religion, we don't debate politics on our channel, I do want to give a moment of silence to the ones who are no longer with us. All right. So let's get into the meat of the sort of outside debate. To be clear, this debate does not matter in comparison to the lives lost, so this isn't justifying anything. However, it is a thing that's come up many times over the years, that whenever there's a shooting, violence, like, it makes us numb to it, or the fact that people know the names of guns and know the differences between different magazine types and all this, directly correlating to military type shooters and stuff like that. It's just constantly brought up where the media is always looking for somebody to blame. I think in any tragic situation, we as humans are looking for people to blame or anything that we can blame. Other than what I feel like is probably some of the more obvious aspects out there. I think one of the more obvious aspects, especially when I think the shooter was 18. And when I hear something like that, the first thing I think of is parents. Where are the parents in all of this? I know they're legally an adult in the United States, but what sort of upbringing did this child have to think that it's okay to do this at their age? That's the number one thing I think about before anything else. That and mental health.
Right or wrong. But,
yeah, right or wrong. Like, it's the first thing that pops in my mind. That and mental health. Because for someone to want to do this, there's obviously not quite something going on in their head. For anyone, especially to think, it's one thing if like someone feels like they can vengeance shoot somebody over something stupid, but to kill children, that something just isn't quite right in the head to think that that's okay. But I'm not a psychiatrist. We'll let the professionals deal with all of that over the coming months that the investigations and everything go into this. But when it comes to violence in video games, we've been hearing for a long time that it causes these things to happen. And the funny thing is, there's actually a ton of research papers on this, like hundreds of them by extremely reputable.
Probably more like thousands, hundreds.
Well,
of thousands.
yeah, at this point,
yeah. No, it's been studied and studied and studied and studied and studied.
And most studies either come to the conclusion that it's inconclusive. It doesn't actually correlate. And then the most maybe damning ones are ones that kind of conclude, well, people with violent tendencies are going to obviously be attracted towards violent things like video games, which is why so many of the shooters tend to actually play them. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the game led them to think it was okay. More like they already had the tendencies, and so they were already attracted to that, and probably violent movies and other violent things in the world. And obviously, everyone's looking for a scapegoat that is anything other than what probably the obvious scapegoats really are. So, but there are plenty of people out there that do think it does correlate. And what I find interesting is that most people that tend to think that it does correlate happen to live in the United States. Because one aspect that I always bring up in situations like this is, did the violent video games not exist outside the United States? Last I checked, they sell Call of Duty in Europe, and they're not dealing with mass school shootings. Last I checked, they have violent video games in Japan. They're not dealing with mass school shootings. In fact, a school shooting happening anywhere outside of the United States happens like once every 7 years. United States is basically the only place that we're dealing with this problem. So that's why I find it really hard. And I know I'm a gamer, so there's admitted bias for me to, protect the medium, I guess. But I really don't care. Like, most of the games I play aren't violent anyways, unless stomping on mushrooms is considered violent, which technically it is. You're killing mushrooms. I don't really know how much that involves, unless shooting paintball guns in Splatoon. I do play some shooters here and there. I played the Fortnites. I play Call of Duty once in a while, but I'm obviously not in the mental state that I would ever think it's okay to harm anybody. So video games to me haven't really done it. If anything, video games have been a release of anger rather than a festering of it. Like, I understand some people can have angry reactions when they lose in competitive games, but the difference between like being extremely disappointed you lost in a competitive setting, which can happen with sports, can happen with any competitive setting, versus turning that into wanting to kill someone. I think inherently all of us have a little bit of that anger in us, a little bit. With Eric as an example, I see it most often with sports. He can get pretty rowdy during a game, but he's never taken that rowdiness to where he's going to hurt other people. It's more of an impassioned thing. Now I see Mike over there going, not me. I'm good. Never happens. I don't get passionate enough about anything to necessarily reach levels of anger. By the way, you don't have to be angry to be passionate. That's just it's a commonality that people get really passionate about stuff, get angry when it doesn't go their way.
I'm lying. I do. I get passionate.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way, like, it's not like that's the only way you can be passionate. It just so happens, hey, the things that we're most passionate about also happen to be the things that will upset us the most. Relationships, as an example. Why do we sometimes fight in relationships? It's the thing we're most passionate about. So it's going to frustrate us the most when it's not going well. But there's a difference between those frustrations and maybe yelling and maybe just letting out some of that, emotions we're feeling versus getting violent, hitting your partner, shooting up a school, punching someone in the face, who's a fan of an opposing team who's maybe laughing at you for losing. There's a different barrier that some of us just cross for one reason or another. And most often it's been found through a lot of the research out there that it is tend to lean towards mental disorders. But it's also obviously a bit cultural. The fact that it happens so much more frequently in the United States versus other countries seems to infer we have a culture issue. But that being said, violence in video games, lots of studies out there. There are some fringe studies that do kind of support the notion that violence does cause violent video games do cause violent behavior. I think it's really interesting because a lot of the objective ones that I've read don't really come to that conclusion, but then you have people who are always looking for every minute thing that's going to support a preconceived notion. Yeah. So they're going to find these little patterns like, oh man, well, all these people happen to play violent video games. There's your correlation. And it's like, but what about all the other factors? So I'm going to toss this to Mike. Well, what are your thoughts? Do you think there is this is my thoughts. I don't really think there's much of a correlation. However, I'm a gamer, so I got bias. What are your thoughts?
I think yes and no, and it's a question that it really depends on the situation. It really depends on the person and their mental health, because you can give a person a so-called violent game, person who has never been violent in their life, who has no tendencies of violence, person who has they're sane basically, and they can take that game and see it as a game. But then you can put the same exact game in a person who is really easy to anger. They literally they obviously have mental issues. They need to get resolved. They need to get medical help. They need help, and they see it as something else. They see it, if you see a violent video game as something to release stress, that's just the beginning of it. You can't see this game as nothing more than entertainment. If you see it as something other than, I really want to off people and I need let me go and get this game and just shoot a bunch of people and get this out of my system. That's just the beginning. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to go out there, but that's just, it's there.
I think there. Yeah,
exactly. And also when you take these games that are becoming realistic every single day, more and more and more, for people with mental mental health problems, it could actually separate reality from real, from fiction. And they could be playing a game and feeling the same exact way as in they're out there doing the same exact thing. You know what I mean? So when I say, do violent video games contribute? I can't say yes or no. It just depends on who is playing the game. And in a general sense, I would say, yeah, it's a factor, but it's not everything, because there's more to it. There's way more to it that will make a person go out and take somebody else's life. And the violent video game, when they're faced with it, they're face to face with it. They're at a point where, to them, for us regular gamers, we love the video games. It's entertainment. It's not reality. For them, they can't tell the difference. They're shooting people out. They're playing Grand Theft Auto or whatever, or any game that's shooting another human being. I'm not talking about Splatoon or talking about shooting aliens or whatever. Any other game that's shooting another human being. For them, they're at a point already. They're so lost that they can't tell the difference, and that's when it contributes. I believe that just like there should be a background check, okay, and a mental health check for people who actually buy weapons, guns, all this stuff, there should also be some kind of mental health check for certain video games for some people, because anything can become a weapon in the wrong hands. You know what I mean? I can take this iPhone, and if I have the malice enough to do great things with this, I can break it, take the glass, and turn it into something different. You know what I mean? So I think it all depends on who is playing the video game and whether they're sane enough to realize that this is an entertainment, not something that they're fantasizing about. You know what I mean?
So then, do you think it's a bigger contributing factor than, say, violent movies? Or
I think they're just as
watching the news. Heck, you don't even have to go that far. Just watching the news,
dude. I think just as. I think any form of media, any form of violent media that can inspire somebody in their sick mind to do something to somebody else is you know what I mean? I think video games, violent movies, everything contributes. Sometimes even the news can contribute, by showing way too much when they should just talk about the story. Don't show too much. Talk about the story, because you never know who's watching. What copycat
active war going on, and you just flick through your TV and you can see people dead.
Exactly. I mean, I feel the first thing that's disrespectful to life. Showing a dead body on the street.
It's disrespectful to the person who's dead and their family. Suddenly we're not supposed to care about that because it's in another country. And it's it's one thing if it's here. Like if you're in the Ukraine, and I expect you to see that on the news because you're trying to rally the people and everything. But so it's like we had an act of war inside the United States happening. Like, yeah, I would expect to see that on the news because we see it in real life. It's literally happening right in front of us. But it feels weird when we see this stuff. Just without the option. It's one thing if you go to a news website and they have a warning, so you're choosing to watch, versus when I'm flicking through my TV and all of a sudden there's just dead bodies. Sure, you drew my attention, and I keep thinking, who are these people and why are we did you ask permission of the family to show these bodies? I bet you didn't. I know it's war and you got to cover the war. But I think there's ways to cover it without being that disrespectful. But that's a whole nother topic, Yeah,
that is because, if the media is so disrespectful, they will get it to somebody else's face who just lost somebody, say, how do you feel? You know what I mean? It's just, people
are assholes.
Yeah, just to come to the point. I mean, any type of media that portrays violence in the wrong hands, in the wrong mind, could become something to influence something so horrific like what just happened. So, to answer the question, violent video games, yeah, yes and no, but it just depends. And I think that the video game industry can do something to help. Everybody can. I mean, everybody. It's a group effort. It's not the video game. It's a movie industry. It's a video game industry. It's whoever's in charge of creating laws for guns and weapons. You know what I mean? I think everything is involved, and we have to do something to change this, because we can't grow cold to this. We can't be numb to seeing people suffer and lose their kids. Can you imagine sending your kid to school that morning, kissing your daughter? I was crying today. I'm telling you, I was crying today. I'm like, my daughter is here. She's homeschooled. Thank God she's homeschooled. But then I hear the story about this girl who asked her dad to stay home, and so she can stay home, so they can spend the day together and do stuff. And all of a sudden, he sends her to school, and that was the last time.
Most parents do, yeah.
So we can't. I like that you're actually bringing up this topic, because I feel like we have to talk about it. We can't really
can't ignore it.
Yeah, we can't.
We could ignore a little bit on a whole lot of things. We don't talk about the war with Ukraine stuff really. There's a lot of real world events we can ignore, but this is different because you can really drag video games as a medium into it. And it's just not something that should, and to be honest, all of us live in the United States. So I started out the topic by saying, I am starting to get numb to the school shootings because they happen so often. Like I can't sit here. Like if I just focus on all the lives we're losing in the United States every single day to any sort of violence, it could lead to massive depression. And I don't want to live my life always sad that other people are dying, and I feel helpless to do much about it. Like I do live in fear of sending my kids to school, but at this point the shootings are happening everywhere. I could have been at the Milwaukee Bucks game and got shot. Like it doesn't, like, it's everywhere.
Grocery stores.
There's like no safe place. Like leaving your house, you could be shot. And the funny thing is, I have friends who have had shootings happen right outside their house with stray bullets coming through their house. Like you can be shot even at home. Like this is like a thing all over the United States. And I get a little numb to it because I don't want to live my life in fear. I do what I can to protect my kids. You know, my kids go to a private school, and it makes you think, oh yeah, you know, maybe they're safer at a private school. Are they? I have no idea. This kid walked into a school that he was too old to go to, and shot people up. Like,
yep.
And from
what's going to prevent somebody from walking into one of my kids' schools and doing it?
Also, from what I read, this was after he had already exchanged gunfire with cops.
Yeah. He crashed his car into something too.
He didn't actually get into the school until after he was already shooting out with the cops.
Obviously I don't know what the school's protections are. I know at my children's schools, you can't get into the school. They have to buzz you in.
Yeah.
And they won't buzz in a random adult. They like make us show IDs up to the camera, verify you're a parent of the kid. I mean, if they know who you are, and like, oh yeah, your kid goes here, you're a parent, they'll let you in. But like they just won't let some random person walk into the school like that, especially if they got anything suspicious on them. Like, I don't know, walking around with a semi-automatic weapon hanging over their shoulder. Yeah, I don't think they're going to buzz you into the school. It doesn't mean they couldn't break through the window and find a way in. But I know at least at our school that they don't. But that's the thing. That's our school. Not every school is equipped to keep outside people out, and not everything's going to work. They can get in through a window. You know, there's a whole lot of ways to get into a school, but it seems like this person just walked through the front door, which that's even worse. That they were able to do that and then lock themselves into a classroom.
I mean, the bigger issue here is again, the bigger issue here in all reality is just mental health. You know?
Well, that's what I was about to say. It seems at the core of it, you're like, oh, they can be influenced, but that's because they're not normal, and no one's realized that. And that's one reason why I originally said, look, if it's a mental health thing, that's why I always point back to the parents, because a child's not going to reckon. Like if you're growing up, because a lot of these school shootings, reality is, happen pretty much right at senior year or just out of high school ages. Seem to be the ones that keep doing these mass shootings. It doesn't seem to be a lot of people in their 30s and 40s doing it. It's always like that young college age, end of high school age that seem to be doing it. And every single one of them, and almost every single case we find out at the end, and we'll find out with this one, we don't know yet, research is being done, investigation is being done, but all of them, none of them got mental health help growing up, which means parents lived in denial, parents didn't see the signs, and that's a lot of times why I say it starts with the parents, because the parents are the first line of defense to notice something's not right with my kid, and I need to be willing to admit it. I have a daughter, by the way, full on. She is on anger medication. She is also on depression meds. Why? We recognize the behavior instantly. And yeah, so did the school. Thank God that we had the teachers we had that were willing to actually talk to the parents about it and be like, hey, we're not going to sit here and ignore the fact that your daughter does not have normal behavior for her age. Something's going on. She's getting too violent, it's one of those, the school's even like, hey, if you're not willing to admit there's a problem, we might not be able to let your kid come to school anymore, because this just isn't, But
can you imagine?
But schools have to be careful about that, right? There's a lot of laws around, they can't infer these things. And I'm like, no, we need to have these conversations. And parents, you need to be willing to have these. You need to be willing to accept your kid might not be normal. We literally had a child get raped and killed in our town not too long ago, just like a month ago. It was the end of April.
Yeah, something like that.
It was their cousin who was like, 12? No, 14 or 15.
Yeah, something like that.
He was a teenager, and parents never got him help for anything. Never got him help for anything. And he clearly had mental problems and was planning this out for a long time to rape and kill this little girl. And that's the same thing with these aren't random. This kid didn't just wake up one day and decide, I'm going to walk into a school and shoot it up. This is stuff they're thinking about. They're planning about. There's been behavior things that happened before they even thought about this stuff that parents don't recognize. And that's why I always say parenting is the hardest job in the world, because the number one thing is, obviously, we always talk about protecting your kids and raising them right and hoping they make good choices and good decisions. But it also comes to recognizing when something ain't quite right. Mm-hmm. And be willing to admit maybe they do need therapy. Don't be afraid if your kids need medication. Hey, if you take your kid to the doctor because something ain't right and the doctor's like, hey, we got to try medication, don't ignore it. Don't be like, oh no, I can handle this. Because you don't know what's going on inside that child's head. If a doctor looks you in the face and tells you something isn't right, they're off the charts on the depression scale. They're having thoughts that aren't normal. We can't ignore this behavior. And you as the parent decide you want to ignore it. Because that happens too. Kids, they will take their kids to the doctor and the doctor will say there is something wrong. And the parents will just ignore the signs. So they'll be like, oh no, I'll deal with this at home. We'll have stricter rules. We'll do this. We'll discipline them more. We'll pay more attention to our kid. And sometimes that's not what they need. The unfortunate reality is sometimes your kid's just born a certain way. And sometimes there's not a whole lot as a parent you can do to quote unquote fix it without admitting there's a problem and being willing to professional help with therapy. And the bottom line with the mental health stuff is the unfortunate truth is some people just don't have the options. They don't exist. They don't have the medical coverage to deal with it. They can't afford to put their kids in therapy. They can't afford the medications because the pharmaceuticals have made them so damn expensive, and a lot of them outside of the range of low end health insurance, which some of these come from low income families. They can't afford that help. I know that us, as we're coming out of the low income family and getting into having to have our own private insurance, bottom line is the medication Melody's on that works for her isn't covered, and we have to pay out of pocket, and it's expensive. We pay over $300 a month for her meds, and that's a lot. Yep. I'm willing to make the sacrifices to make sure she has them, but to a lot of other parents, they'll be like $300. Like, that's the difference between do we eat or do we have medication?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when
lots of problems with mental health in this country.
Yeah, and then when there's a lack of like how you were stating, there's a lack of resources for them to get the proper help. There is always the law. Okay, because right now, in the news they say, okay, this guy just went into the store and bought all those guns. He turned 18, showed his ID, purchased all those guns.
Yeah, if background check's not going to bring anything up because he doesn't have anything on his record.
Not a background check, but you need to have a mental health check as well, because they're not going to let any loony person just go into a store and buy a gun. A loony person doesn't have the mental capacity or to know what to do with that. Or you know what I mean? Or they know what to do with it.
I do think, to the point of mental health checks to get guns, it sounds nice. Mental health checks can be faked through. All it is an opinion of a therapist and you answering the questions and acting a certain way. And I think it might work at first. Over time, people will look up how to beat mental health checks on the internet.
Yeah, but are they? If they are that smart, they're not.
Some of the biggest serial killers and best killers in the world are some of the most intelligent people. They're just not right in the head in certain ways, and they know how to beat all the tests. I don't know that it'll slow it down. It's like the reason I'm bringing this up, and I know I didn't want to get into politics and how to solve the problem and what the real issue. I think. Do you agree, Eric, that mental health is really the biggest issue at the base of it all? And yes, other countries, by the way, have people with mental health issues, which is one reason why they have laws in place that just make it so it kind of can't get to this point. And that's obviously, not wanting to take away any sort of rights governmentally. Bottom line is, there's pretty much no country in the world you can walk into a store and buy a semi-automatic.
And walk out with it the same day.
Yeah, I mean, most countries don't even let you buy guns in general. But if they do, they'll let you get hunting rifles or recreational handguns. they won't let you walk out with anything that can fire more than one shot at a time. Just doesn't happen. Like all these countries in Europe that have all the same media we do, that don't have these problems, it's because they don't let you buy the guns that give you these problems. You can't have a mass shooting if you can't buy a weapon that allows you to mass shoot. And I'm not saying that, the whole point of the amendment that we have that allows us to bear arms is supposed to be so we have the capability to overthrow the government if we want. And yeah, it will be pretty hard to overthrow a government if we don't have access to semi-automatic weapons because they have the might of the military that could just mow us down unless the military turns on them too. And if the military turns on the government too, then we do have the weapons. So it's a lot of, are we ever going to actually overthrow the government that we need these kind of weapons in our hands anyways? Outside of maybe, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be able to fire them. Fine, you can have them at a highly controlled place that we can go to a range, that the range owns all the weapons, and we're able to shoot them, and they keep really good control of it. You can't walk out of the range with it. Everything is checked. Cameras on, everything. You try to walk out of there with that semi-automatic, they immediately roll up on you and take it away. Like, there's ways that we could still have the enjoyment of firing these weapons and the enjoyment of taking them to a range, but not have to have them sitting in our home, sitting in our car. Like, we can still have the joy of enjoying the pure joy of firing a weapon, but not necessarily having it on our person. Because I always go, Eric's a hunter. Mm-hmm. No problem with hunting rifles. Obviously, be able to own a hunting rifle, it's actually kind of important, especially here in the Midwest when we're trying to keep down populations of deer and stuff like that, because they can get really out of hand.
Yes, you can.
So, like, that's fine. But we don't necessarily have to have guns that let us burst 6 rounds at once. That could be 6 people dead. Look, you're going to hit the deer on that first shot. Maybe a second shot as it runs away. Maybe. But the moment it's startled and runs, you either hit it already or it's probably got away. Probably. There are chances that you can, obviously get it with that secondary shot or that third shot. But bottom line is, hey, look, if you have to get rid of semi-automatic hunting rifles.
If you can't hit it in the 5 rounds in your standard clip,
yeah,
then, yep.
I know, hobby.
Yeah.
The only hunting thing that I can see a large magazine needed for is hog hunting in the South, where those feral hogs have absolutely gone, population exploded. You need to control them. You need to kill mass amounts of them.
But I could also argue in a case like that. Isn't that why we just bring in the National Guard, properly trained?
Yeah.
They could come in and take care of that population in a day.
Yeah.
They are literally professionally trained with those weapons. And you know what? It's great training grounds for them to use it on the home front, because the whole reason they exist is if we do get attacked, that we might have military deployed and we need a home militia. And that's basically what the National Guard is there for, is to protect and obviously serve during natural disasters and other things as well. But they're trained to use those kind of weapons. Like, they could just go take care of the issue's the population. They can go take care of it. Like, you can still have recreational hunting, and then if it gets exploded, you can just bring in the people that can take care of it. Like, around here, between bow hunting season and gun hunting season, it's pretty much taken care of in general. Yeah. But if it ever did get extremely out of hand, okay, then fine. Yeah, bring someone else in. But like, and by the way, the whole reason around here you keep deer population in check is because a lot of accidents and people can actually die. We have overpopulation of deer because they overrun all the roads and everything. So it is important to kind of keep it in check around here, and obviously dealing with a feral hog situation. Obviously, But again, it's like, okay, but if it's that bad that we need semi-automatics, then let's just bring in the military, bring in our local armed forces to take care of it. I don't really think we need the local population walking out there with semi-automatics. This is just like a personal feeling. This isn't a problem anywhere else in the world other than any other first world country in the world is not suffering this problem. It's just us. And we're the only ones that have access to those weapons. None of the other first world countries let you walk in and out with a semi-automatic, and the whole population's just regular. You just go over to your grandfather's and grab one off the gun rack. Like, it's just like, it doesn't exist anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And thus they don't have these problems. Like, hardly ever. I'm not saying it never happens, It's just so rare. Like, yeah, they have the same mental health problems we do. And I'm not going to say that they're better parents than we are. I don't know. I don't grow up in their culture, but I do know they don't have the same access we do. They have the same media, but not the same access, and thus they don't have the same problems. It's highly targeted to the United States that this issue exists. So I'm like, what's unique about this situation? When I think about violence in video games, and it's a fact, well, violent video games aren't unique to the United States, but yet the problem's unique to the United States. So then what else is it? I don't know. I mean, I'm always torn because I always believe mental health checks. We shouldn't lose access to firearms. Especially, in a world where, hey, in the United States, it's also been proven we can't always trust the police in certain situations. But bottom line is, we kind of can't trust each other either. So, not in this country. You might think that's just some innocent kid walking down the street, and next thing you know, he pulls out a partially taken apart semi-automatic out of his gun. 2 little clicks later, he's mass shooting right down the street. What was the kid that? They claimed it was like a race-based thing where they just literally drove like 300 miles to New York to sit outside a club in an Uber, and then he just walked right into the club and started shooting. This just happened not too long ago. That's how often these things happen. It's like every month, every week, every day. The number of people dying in Chicago to gun violence every day makes the mass shootings look like laughable. There's hundreds of people dying a day. It's crazy. And the bottom line is, I have a hard time blaming anything that isn't unique to the United States. Since these violent video games are some of the best-selling games in other countries, and they don't have this problem. I'm not saying it can't contribute to mental health, but like, bottom line is, they were already having a problem. The game, like, I think the argument is, the video game isn't what made them violent. There was already something else going on. So maybe it numbed them to it. Maybe they couldn't separate reality from the game. But it wasn't the game that caused it. And I think that's kind of where I stand in defending the video game stance. Is there's so many other countries that have these same games that don't have these problems.
And trust me, I love video games. Mm-hmm. And hell, that's our field. That's what we want to make a career on, But again, when video games become real and more real and more real, and then we head towards VR, and we have that headset on, and then and it's the same thing over and over again. There's some even in the person with the sanest mind, something has to click. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just something we can't. I love video games. Again, I love video games. Sure. I really do. But when these video games start becoming more real and more real and more real, and then you have a video game where there's a city, just a city.
Well, I mean, they use to give to your point, in military training, they use video games to simulate training. Yeah. In real life situations or soldiers might be in. Like, it's a real thing that happens. Part of the training process.
Yeah, and I applaud that because that's actually good.
I mean, if you have to train being in a war situation, it'd be better that you're not actually killing real people to do your training. Yes.
Yeah. But I like I said, video games are becoming more real and real every single day. You know what I mean? There are more world situations infiltrating itself inside the video game, and it just takes just like it takes turning on the news and watching a clip, the wrong person, and that already inspiring a thought in them, and that growing. You know what I mean? It's same thing with everything. I'm not gonna sit here and say video games don't contribute. I'm not gonna sit here and say movies don't contribute. I'm not gonna sit here and say the news doesn't contribute. Everything contributes when you have a sick mind. Everything contributes. So then,
my question to you, Mike, is then what are your thoughts on the fact that no other country has this problem despite having the same access to the same media?
Because they have better laws on how to protect people. You can't just, for example, United States is the biggest advocate for everybody and anybody
holding a gun.
And holding a gun. And it's not. I'm not against it because people need to defend themselves. But I'm just saying, don't make it so easy. You know, you know what I mean. There has to be certain steps you have to take to get there to make sure that you're giving it to the right person. Don't walk in the store, do a background check. Oh my God, you're so clean. All right, good, awesome. You just turned 18. Give me everything I want. You know what I mean? Don't
it's
make
funny too. I'll give you an example. My fiance can't own a gun legally. She had a domestic situation where she tried to kick our daughter's father in the balls. Didn't even hit him. But he still called the cops on her anyways. And so she has a domestic violence thing on her. It's weird. It's a attempt at domestic violence, I think is what I would call it. She didn't actually hit him, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. She has that on her record. It happened a long time ago when she was 18. And so she's flagged if she tries to buy any sort of firearm. She can't even buy a BB gun. She's flagged. Okay. But I'm not, and I live with her. I can buy a gun today. And it could be in my house, and she could access it, even though she can't legally buy one. Because I don't know that background checks, I don't know that mental health check help. Like a lot of these kids, some of the things that happened, it wasn't even their gun.
Yep.
Like it gets to a point that not even mental health checks can prevent it necessarily, because people that are legally able and are sane, you know, to the point of being able to own a firearm without it harming another human, might not be the person that's the problem. But because they have the gun, it gives access to other people that do. And that's one reason why I pointed this out, because I know you'll never say that it can't contribute, but I'll say, but if you have the better laws, it doesn't really matter, because there's always a way.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a way. They can go to a street and buy off. In
the United States, there's always a way because of the way the laws are.
But at least, you know, I'm not saying this is the solution to take it away completely. There's nothing we can do but at least,
I mean, we're in the country we're in. We're not going to get guns taken away. That's not going to happen.
If they made it just a little bit harder for this person who just went in that store and bought those weapons, just a bit harder, would we be having this conversation right now?
I don't know, because you can also buy them easily on the street right now with filed down guns as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying if they would have made it just a bit harder.
Yeah. Would this specific incident have happened at this time? Exactly. No, because he probably wouldn't have had the weapon at this time. But would it have happened next school year instead, after he found a different way to get one?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's a combination of things. It's a really,
you know, we're in an always connected world. I can't get one legally at the moment. Okay, where to buy guns on the black market? Oh, look, I can go down to this, you know, ghetto street corner and buy the same gun. Oh yeah, you can Google it. How do you think they get those guns on the street? It ain't just through word of mouth. Sometimes the word of mouth is right there on the internet. Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm not saying that they know how to access the dark web. That's a whole nother. A lot of people don't even know how to access it. So, I kind of thank God, because if all the mentally insane people could access the dark web, we'd be in trouble.
Let's not talk about it. Let's not inspire anybody.
I'm not explaining how to do it. I've been there. It's some crazy shit. But I mean, it's not all bad. But anyways,
Cherry on top, there's an issue. We need to get together to find a solution, and that's it. You know, we got to find a solution. I mean, we have to learn from other countries. What are they doing that we're not? You know what I mean? I think
the issue in the United States, and this is where it's entirely political, is that it doesn't really matter what the other countries are doing, because we can't agree on anything in this country. Yeah,
that's true. That is very true.
Nothing changes because we can't agree on what, like a lot of, as a general, most of the populace can come to an agreement. Oh, well, we need to be better with mental health. Everyone knows that. No one agrees on how to do it. No one agrees on what to do. No one agrees. You know, people say, "Oh, can't blame the parents because they're not the ones that did it." Okay, yeah, fine. But also, at some point, nothing's held accountable. Nothing changes, and then ultimately, the only thing that really can change is, okay, well, then change how the laws work. Oh, we can't agree on that either, because guess what? You don't touch my precious laws. You're messing with my rights as an American. We have the better rights, the best free country in the whole world, and blah blah blah. The whole rhetoric that gets spewed out there, America, and it leads to this mentality that nothing will change because, as we just kind of saw in the most recent presidential election, the country's more divided than it's ever been. And unfortunately, laws don't pass without us actually not being divided. People
disagree just to disagree sometimes. That's just sick. You know,
it literally just has to do with whatever political affiliation they want to be with. It don't matter if we both fundamentally agree that there should be stricter gun laws or stricter this or stricter that. Doesn't matter because it came from you, who's on a different side of the aisle. I'm voting against it anyways. And it's just, it's a stupid mentality. And by the way, this isn't me. This is why I hate getting political. Neither side has it right. Neither of the major political sides in this country have it right. If they got to both free run every idea they have, none of it would actually solve everything. Unfortunately, they are so far apart on everything that nothing real that matters gets changed. Everyone can agree. Our police forces need to be better. No one can agree on how to do it. Everyone agrees. Oh, we should probably have stricter gun stuff, but like not take away. Oh, but then we can't agree on how it's done, so nothing even happens. Oh, we all agree mental health is a problem, but no one agrees on how it can be taken care of. At the end of the day, this is why nothing changes and everything just seems to either. I'm not even going to say things are getting worse. I think it's a lost rhetoric to say things are getting worse. Okay, we've had mass shootings for 30 years. I think it's just the same as it's been for 30 years. I don't think anything is going to change, unfortunately, in my country. Other countries, it's funny, if you actually pay attention to litigation in other countries when they're making laws, they use the United States as examples for why they're making the laws they're making so those things don't happen. It's really kind of funny that the United States has kind of become the poster child for how other countries build their laws. And by the way, other countries have major political differences as well. But they seem to fundamentally agree on some core concepts that human life matters more than anything else. So any law that protects human life is exactly the law you should make, no matter what. Like they could disagree on LGBTQ and all those type of laws out there, but anything that's about actually killing another person, everyone's in pretty big universal agreement. Unfortunately, in this country, we're not.
Nope.
And I don't think that's going to change, unfortunately. Eric, you've been really silent this whole time. I know some of this really bothers you, hits close to home. What are your thoughts on all this?
It just hurts every time. It hurts. Being a psych major, I do have a bachelor's in psychology. It just hurts because I know, and struggling with my own depression.
Yep.
And going through a bunch of shit. And I mean, I've never had the thoughts of injuring other people, things like that, but which I'm lucky enough to say that. But it hurts. It sucks that there is even no attempt to fix it. If we just attempt something, if it doesn't work, okay, let's try something else. Let's try something.
Nothing even gets off the floor with the lawmakers.
Until we can get the right situation that we can both agree on, let's try something. Nothing happens, and it's stupid.
And it goes back to something that Nate just said, and I'm going to follow with this. A kingdom divided against itself will never stand.
No, it's doomed to fall, for sure.
Yeah, it's never going to stand because they're always going to be disagreeing with each other, no matter what, no matter the topic, no matter, you know what? I like green. No, well, I like yellow. And it's just, you know, we're all human beings and we're all just trying to survive on this country together. You know, for some things, I realize for some things, you know, okay, disagree, but for life, come on, for life.
Yeah. I think a lot of it, I mean, a lot of it is the cultural aspect of, you know, the United States as a concept is a very nice concept. You know, there's technically no universal religion. no universal political stance, even though for a long time the United States did this whole thing against communism, like it was the most evil thing in the world. But technically, that isn't actually that's not the government's role to decide what you should believe in what governmental system. But there was wars and other stuff going on, so they decided that they could. You're anti-American if you think any other governmental system is better. And it's interesting because the American way is supposed to be total freedom in thought, freedom in ideas. And the unfortunate downside to that is with total freedom of thought, total freedom of ideas, no teaching of people as they grow up, some standards, because you'll have households that will teach you it's okay to go and buy a gun right away. Gun, that's cool. Other households telling you guns are bad, guns are evil. There's no agreement culturally because the United States is such an open, free-thinking nation that while there's a lot of benefits to that, there is some legit benefits to the free-thinking ways. This is why we are also one of the nations that's become more and more accepting of LGBTQ, AI plus, or whatever it is. Like, we become one of the leading countries accepting of the way some of us have some differences. And then on the flip side, there's also the complete lack of acceptance, the white supremacy stuff. There's the complete lack of acceptance from all sides of race. So there's a complete lack of acceptance politically, religiously. People getting pretty much like anything that happens, as an example, as a terrorist attack that happens to come from, say, the Middle East. Magically, every Muslim in the United States is the enemy for some ungodly reason, which makes absolutely no sense because it just shows how little you actually know about the actual Muslim faith, which is actually against violence. But it doesn't matter.
It's a country that contradicts itself. Because 100%. Yes, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, but when you try to practice your religion, when you try to practice your speech, then you'll have people try to bury you for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you have other people that go the exact opposite direction. And what happens is it leads to a nation divided because we are. It's almost as if we are victims of our own freedom because we are basically free to be as selfish as we want.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you think of other nations that are in a much healthier, like they have, like think about what was like some of the number one controversy to happen in Canada politically. I mean, we have some Canadian fans, like a lot of it had to do with COVID-19 restrictions and the truckers and some stuff with it. Okay, great. I wish that was our problem. Can we just have debating on how to manage COVID-19 be our biggest political problem?
No, that was that on top of that, on top of that, on top of that, on top of that.
Like to be honest, compared to mass school shootings and shootings in general, people dying from guns and from any other violent act in the United States, COVID-19 ain't shit. Sorry, I ain't trying to sit there and just people who lost family members and deal with long-term health conditions from COVID-19. Go look at the death rate of violent crimes in the United States compared to the death rate of COVID-19 as we're going down and as the rates are going up.
Don't forget monkeypox.
And plus, this death rate's been going on for 30 years. 30 plus years. Like, this isn't new. Like, oh, COVID, yeah, it was this big thing for a couple of years. Okay, and now it's not such as serious of a thing anymore. But guess what? Gun violence didn't go fucking anywhere the last 3 decades.
I think the chat is ready to move on. So what's this about PlayStation Pro?
Probably. Something. Yeah, I know what you're doing, Mike. Sorry, it's obviously just a very serious topic that all of us are going to be impassioned about for different reasons. Mm-hmm. And the conclusion that I just come down to is I fear the country I live in will never do anything to fix it. Mm-hmm. And in general, this is just the doom and gloom reality of America that some of us get to ignore for a while. And that is, hey, we're kind of eating ourselves.
Yep.
And it's kind of being set up to probably not in my lifetime, but sometime in the next couple 100 years where there's going to be a big collapse. And I don't know when it's going to happen because right now a lot of the world's economy is held up by our consumerism. But the world will move on whenever that happens. And we always pray for that better tomorrow. I have kids, I pray for the better tomorrow for my children. And if my children decide one day when they're older, they want to live somewhere else, I ain't going to blame them. Oh, you want to run away from all your family and go live somewhere? Psh, be my guest. I'm not gonna discourage you if you decide you'd rather go live in some other cultures and everything's not perfect. Imagine that you thought it'd be cool to go live in Ukraine and then all that goes down. So
if you guys in the chat take anything away from this conversation, is that again, we can't do anything divided. We have to come to a conclusion. Guess what? People are not bad. Everybody has the potential and has a capacity for good. Okay, I'm pretty sure that everybody.
I don't think anyone's born evil.
Yeah, everybody on both sides of the aisle, no matter what political party, you are a human. You have loved ones that you love, you want to protect. You know, if we can come together and just focus on that, we want to protect each other, and we want to save our country, then I think we can get to a point where we can start seeing progress in this long journey towards something better. You know what I mean? And that's basically it. We need to just stop disagreeing to disagree. You know what I mean? You can disagree. It's okay. You were free to do so. But if you're disagreeing just to be on the other side, just because you are red, the other one is blue, then you're disagreeing for the wrong reasons. And that's why we are where we are. We just need to come together and come together for life, you know, for our kids, for our future, for, you know, and
I want to give I want to bring up some Brian C. just thought, because like the biggest thing on this conversation, the reason why, guys, that we never have this serious of a topic is one, we're a gaming channel, so oftentimes we don't have to have this serious of a topic because, you know, we're more worried about sales or maybe union things. Like that might be the closest we get to some political talk, you know, with video games. But this obviously had a crossover because of the whole violence thing and because it is such a divisive thing. Because people are going to disagree. People are going to get angry. And Brian C. brought up something that I think is important to highlight about our community specifically with this conversation. And he said, as a mod, I would like to thank the community here because even with this topic, which is, again, we don't have these conversations because of how toxic it can be. 99.5% of the comments have been super respectful. And after just a couple of warnings, nothing worse was said. I didn't have to time out a single person. And that's a big shout out to our community for allowing us to have this open conversation on a very serious topic. That is, as much as I wanted to avoid the politically driven conversation opponent, it is. You can't have this conversation without getting into it. And I want to shout out to our mods, shout out to our community for being respectful of others and listening when the mods were calming it down before it got too bad. It means a lot to me as a content creator that we can broach a serious topic like this. Not very often, by the way. You guys have been here this is like the most serious topic we probably had in 5 years. Like that we can have this conversation once in a blue moon about something serious and know the community's not going to eat itself. And maybe not rage at us. We're trying to be understanding as well as people talking about this, that everyone's on different sides. And none of us, like, people can disagree with some of the stuff I said, disagree with some of the stuff Mike said, disagree with Eric, or agree with us. It doesn't really matter. It's a conversation, and at least we're having it. And, you know, I don't know if it'll get better, but we always push for something to be done. As Eric said, let's try something. As Mike said, we need to come together. And I feel like our community can find common ground on this. We all agree that human life matters more than anything. And I wish that we could, well, I shouldn't say more than anything. That's a little bit full of ourselves being a superior species to everything on the planet. But like we should just kill off the planet just for our benefit.
We're doing a good
because
job
like
of that too,
that also kind of hurts us too. But
yeah.
But the bottom line is that, you know, we can all agree that senseless killing like this needs to go away, and hopefully something's done about it in the future. And I think most of us can kind of sort of tangentially agree that video games aren't really the cause, maybe a symptom. But I don't know that it's a direct cause. It's all kind of, as Mike put it, put together. There's something else going on, as he said, mental health, and then everything else kind of contributes to the fact that the person's already in a poor state of mental health. So anything that's a negative in that direction is going to affect them in a negative way. It's kind of like what I said. I don't think anyone's necessarily born evil. They don't come out the womb thinking, I'm going to be a mass murderer. I'm going to be a serial killer. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. But there are certain things that they already have the mental issues that influence them as they grow up that leads to ultimately to this stuff. You guys have anything else to add, or should we move on?
If you don't mind giving me just a couple minutes on this. Couple things here.
You wanting to talk is always good.
Yeah. Couple things. one thing I know in the beginning of this, you kept using, and I'm not coming down on you for this, but you kept using the word correlation.
Sure.
I want to remind our chat that correlation is not causation.
I know that.
To the point of, let me just throw one of these out there.
Yeah, you were looking at some articles, so.
Let me just throw this out there. So the age of Miss America will correlate with murders by steam, hot vapors, and hot objects. It tends to correlate with that. So as the age of Miss America is older, the murders by steam, hot vapors, and hot objects are also higher. The total revenue generated by arcades also positively correlates with science doctorates awarded in the United States. So there's two completely different things.
Play arcade games to get doctorates.
Yeah. Per capita cheese consumption correlates with the number of people who died becoming tangled in their bed sheets. I mean, I just want to point this out, that correlation is not causation.
Yes.
So that is one of the biggest things here too. So if anybody ever says, yes, it correlates, congratulations. I don't care. Can it cause? Yes, I believe that it may play some role in some of it, but is it the 100%? No.
You want a higher chance of doctorates? Go play lots of arcade games.
No. It's the total. No, it's the total revenue of arcades.
Oh, total revenue. Okay.
Yeah.
So go own an arcade and push people to play at it, so you get rich.
Right.
And then you get a doctorate.
Right. But
yeah, no.
So if anybody ever says it correlates, I don't care. It's not something that causes it. Could it be? Yeah, it just hasn't been proven, and there's been thousands and thousands and thousands of studies on this thing. So it's not 100% cause. It's not. Is it part of the cause? Possibly. Each person's different. Each person, it may have caused a little bit more versus another person. So biggest thing is, to me and to chat and to everybody out there, go home, hug your family, tell them you love them, put your differences aside if you can. Go to school tomorrow if you guys are in school. Go talk to that person who's outcast. Go reach out to anybody who just sits by themselves. Try to reach out to people. A lot of it is isolation too. There are a lot of people out there that are just isolated and they don't know where to turn and are just looking for a way out and some attention. And sometimes their mind goes to things that are not appropriate. And so love your family, love your people, treat people with respect, and hopefully things will get better.
Yep. That's a good,
so stop being dicks.
Yeah.
So one of my rules in my community is no dicks. So with that being said, let's get into our last topic. We'll briefly talk about this. We'll give this like a good 15, 20 maybe. There was a weird thing that happened today. So TCL came out and did a presentation. And during this presentation, they showed a slide and talked on stage about the next PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox Series. In the slide and on stage, they said that they're calling it Gen 9.5. You can always debate what gens it is. But they're basically the mid-gen upgrades like we got last time. We got the Xbox One X. We got the PlayStation 4 Pro. So there's an assumption that we're going to get it again this generation, which is fine. I don't think there are some people that don't like the mid-gen upgrades, but in general, people are kind of, okay, yeah, that's fine if we get them someday. But they had dates of 2023/2024. They also had using the next AMD GPUs in it. In particular, I think the 7700 XT, which isn't out yet. It exists somewhere, but it's not out in public and released yet. Using RDNA 3. And they talked about, obviously, it being able to do essentially native 4K at 60 FPS or 120 FPS, and then be able to like upscale to 8K, which is already on the box for PlayStation 5. They already claim they can do it, but they can't actually do it yet. I don't think they ever will with that machine. I think they're just wanted a number on a box to sell people. How many of you own an 8K TV.
I got two 4Ks together.
I don't think I've even seen an 8K TV in person.
I think we've had a couple of them at Best Buy in Eau Claire, but actually, I think we do have one at Best Buy.
Is there an 8K TV at Best Buy?
Yeah, I think so.
How much was it?
$10,000.
I don't remember, but it was pretty expensive.
It was a lot, I'm sure. Way out of my budget. This was out of my budget. This is not 8K.
There's that, yeah.
So yeah, basically TCL, which is a TV manufacturer, put the slide out there, and the whole reason to pay attention to what TCL says is because as a TV manufacturer, they do work with various companies on what technologies need to be in their TVs, what compatibilities there need to be for certain things happening in the future, whether it's broadcast TV, whether it's Apple TV devices, whether it's obviously future game consoles, because that's a really big avenue that people are upgrading TVs for, right? For their game consoles. But that's TCL is more on the budget-friendly side usually of people buying things, so they clearly want to make sure that they can make budget-friendly TVs that can support a majority of features on game consoles. So they will be in talks with Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo and anybody else making consoles, because Apple might be making one too. I don't know. That's just a thing that's floating out there. We'll see if they buy EA. They are in talks to buy EA. We'll see if anything happens there though.
Honestly, they're not that bad.
How much? Yeah, but how much is an 8K TV?
65 inch. 65 inch Samsung's 2,000.
Is it true 8K? I feel like there's got to be a catch.
I don't know. This one's 999.
I feel like there's a catch.
2,700, 3,200.
There's got to be a catch with the cheap 8K TVs. Well, just like there's a catch with the cheap 4K TVs.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I found one Sony Bravia for $6,000, but everything else.
Yeah, that's more of a mid.
Everything else is about the two and a half.
So they're coming down in price, is what he's saying.
Yeah,
they're almost to the point where mass consumers might buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, there's still people rocking 1080p's right now, but imagine if you jumped from 1080 to 8K.
Man.
I mean, like 8K is going to be a standard thing eventually, because it's going to be like right now. You walk into Walmart, you can't really find a 1080p TV that's like bigger than 17 inches or something like that. Like everything is like 27 inches and bigger is all 4K now at Walmart. So when it gets to the point, yeah, eventually they'll slowly just be like, well, we're all making 8K panels now, so now that's cheap. Let's just make 8K everything. We'll see what happens. Games getting pushed at 8K is like just not happening, guys. I'm sorry. I want to be honest with you guys. I love gaming. I love pushing the bleeding edge. A 3090 can barely get even remotely close to like 18 frames a second in like games at 8K. It's just like it's just that's a 3090. Which, by the way, no, the 7700 XT will not be more powerful than a 3090. It's just not happening. Now, upscaling to 8K is a totally different thing. With all the advances in upscale technology with FSR and DLSS, absolutely, we will be able to effectively upscale a 4K image to 8K someday and do it very, very convincingly. But native 8K gaming, they haven't for a long time. And people even argue with these mid-gen upgrades that native 4K is not really going to happen. Because even native 4K right now is very hard to drive. And again, 3090s, the most powerful GPUs that we have for consumers, can sort of drive native 4K sometimes. So it's not even like, and by the way, when I say native 4K, I don't mean turning down your settings on your PC so you get a native 4K. And we're talking about keeping the settings at the highest levels and then putting out the 4K image, where you're not sacrificing your frame rates or your image quality or your textures or your lighting. You're not sacrificing anything and still getting that 4K image. That's what So to clarify, we've been able to output a 4K image forever in video games on way worse hardware. It's just all the settings are turned down to the point that it looks like you're playing, I don't know, Apex Legends on a Switch.
Yeah.
So that being said, that's the news. Some people obviously drug Switch into it. I did as well, because the original Switch released a few months after, I think it was like 4 months after the PlayStation 4 Pro came out. So normally when we're talking about Pro systems coming out, hey, you know, maybe that's a sign of when Nintendo's going to release the next system. Now, I fully believe, I said this in my video today, that sales are going to be what makes Nintendo release new systems, not what other companies are doing, because they clearly don't care what other companies are doing.
Correlation, not causation.
But what's interesting about this is just focusing on the Sony and Microsoft side is I've seen it really split on this on the internet today. Some people are just pissed that these are even being mentioned right now. Because keep in mind, they're talking end of 2023 or end of 2024. We're a ways away still, guys. A year and a half, 2.5 years away from these coming out. And that would fit within the light to when the prior gen systems did it. But people are pissed because they still can't get their hands on a PlayStation 5 in a store. They still are having a hard time getting Xbox Series X's even. And S's are easier to get, but the X's are still not always readily available. They're more available than the PlayStation 5, but they're not readily available at all times. And obviously the PlayStation 5 is still really hard to get. I mean, and we're already talking about the next mid-gen upgrade. Why the fuck would I buy a PlayStation 5 now? I'll just wait for the mid-gen upgrade when nobody can buy it. So,
I mean, it could be positive. There could be a positive to this.
Well, give me the positive. Because I really don't care. I love tech. I'm a PC gamer. I love tech. Give me the new tech.
Yeah, if
Eric won't buy it, but I'll buy it.
I mean, if it's true that there's something on the way, that means that
there's
these
something being
scalpers,
worked on. Obviously,
the scalpers are gonna focus on the rest and then leave the other ones for, it's like, so there will be more, at least the regular PS5s available, and PlayStation the regular version available, and then scalpers move on. Yeah,
say.
Scalpers can move on. By the way, I actually do have a PS Pro right here that I can show you. And this, I'm sorry for those who are audio, but I have a PS Pro.
Audio, you better jump over to the video right now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sony, for sending me this. Sony with an I, not with the Y. And
Chinese Sony. Got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna show it here in a little bit, but I'm not sure if I should. I'm probably gonna get sued, but here it is, guys. This is the brand new Sony PS5 2.5.
Well, a lot smaller than I expected.
2.5 is half the size.
Can it even take discs or digital only? Must be digital only.
Looks like digital only.
Digital only?
Yeah, it's digital only. Only has 2 USB 2s, not 3s. They can afford that. And
well, I mean, there's so much power in it.
It has an HDMI. No, I think it's the one of those.
Is that a mini HDMI? Man, they're shrinking it down.
Yeah, and
they're shrinking everything down.
Power jack back here, the vent right here. This thing comes out, and there it is. You can carry it in your hand. It's portable. You open it up. It has a screen inside.
Has a screen inside. Wow.
You see it? I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, no, I see it.
Actually, no, I don't think.
I mean, it could be a.
I think the chat could see it.
I mean, some people might just consider that to be a PlayStation 5 Slim. Is it more powerful? I mean, you have it. I don't. Is it more powerful, or are we just talking a slim model?
This is the slim model.
Oh, okay.
A little bit.
That somehow has a screen inside. That's crazy. I guess they want to make sure you can play it in all situations, right? They're trying to give you the option to be a Switch without being a Switch.
Yep. Plays Nintendo games. Plays Xbox games.
You can run it off. You can just run it off a battery pack, no problem.
You can, yeah. Double A's.
Double A's get it done. Don't even need 6 like the Game Gear days. Just 2. Yeah. Or is it 1? I don't even know. I don't know.
It's either 2 double A's or one of those square ones.
One of those.
Fuck, I mean,
the ones we put in our smoke.
The 9 volts.
Yes,
yeah.
9 volts.
Yeah. Fucking. Yeah. Game Gear needed 6 fucking double A's
and would die looking outward.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one actually has an up on the previous version. This one you can actually use as a router.
Oh, jeez. Look at that. They're just adding features. So it's like, okay. All right. But on a little bit more serious note, this whole thing to me is fascinating. I think people that are upset about this won't be upset about it by the time it's announced. We have, because guys, it's not announced. If TCL knows anything, okay, cool. They could also just be speculating. We don't know what TCL knows and doesn't know. So all we can go is, hey, they did talk about it. It is a thing. And it probably is a thing in development somewhere anyways, whether or not it ever comes out. But the thing is, like, this isn't going to come out before the systems are readily available. By the way, a brand new factory opens next year. Another new one opens in 2025. This whole not being able to have enough supply is going to be fixing itself here in the next couple of years. It's not going to keep lasting. Also, by the way, demand is going down in some respects. As an example, Xbox is more readily available because demand for it's gone down a little bit, which has led to more of it being on store shelves, which ironically has increased sales a little bit.
Because they can't get one, and so they stop looking.
Yeah. And then then also you got things like the Nintendo Switch. It's readily available too. And guess what? They're projecting less sales this year than last year. And I don't really feel like they're manufacturing any less when I can just randomly go buy one, pretty much any version I want right now at most in-person retailers and online. It's just demand is going down. See, what people don't realize is Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo didn't do anything wrong the last couple of years when there's been all these stock shortages. It's that demand is at levels they've never seen. It's just never happened for this length of time. We've been sold out for a year, right? Nintendo Wii, right? Whole year. It was really hard to get away. We've never had it go on this long because demand was artificially, I shouldn't say artificially, it was factually inflated during the pandemic as more people had more free time and were looking for things to fill their free time with. But now as the world is getting back to it, the demand is starting to go down and eventually it's going to be easier. I know PlayStation 5 is still struggling a little bit, but even that's become a little bit easier. When I got my PlayStation 5 originally, I had to fight down to like the very half second on websites to get it. Now sometimes they're in stock for a couple minutes. So it's already slowly getting easier, even though it still doesn't feel like it for you guys. I know websites are still crashing. Obviously, it's not always just the demand. It could also be argued, especially with PlayStation 5, the scalpers are really... When you see... I think last time I checked PlayStation 5 listing was like 4 months ago on eBay, and there was over 100,000 listed. I'm sorry. That's just horrible. And it also tells me they're not selling. So why do they keep buying them? They're trying to create. They're buying them out to try to keep creating the scarcity so they could actually sell the ones they have. But then the ones they're buying, they're not ever going to sell them all. So I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll eventually sell them at MSRP or at a loss.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, someone's buying. There always is like a person desperate once in a while. Like whenever the next big game comes out that ends up being PlayStation 5 exclusive, sure, I bet you some of those will sell because there'll be enough people desperate enough. I'll pay the $700 because I want to play this game right now. I don't want to wait. But the amount of those sales spent, guys, the PlayStation 5. I'm sorry, what year did that come out again?
2019.
2020.
2020?
It came out November of 2020.
Wow.
We are, what?
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
6 months away from it being a full 2 years since it came out.
Yeah. But I got some...
Scalpers, it ain't working anymore. Sorry. Stop buying out the systems, damn it.
Yeah. I got some info for those who are looking for a PS5, by the way. I went to Target the other day. And they told me they stopped listening on the website. They don't listen on the website. If you go on the website, it's always out of stock. I went and I asked. They had about 5.
Target, I think, it was doing them in person now in store.
Yeah,
I think they've been doing it for a bit, like the last month.
Yeah, if you're looking for a PS5, go to Target and then ask. They're not gonna have them all out, and you're only gonna know if you ask. That's it.
Yeah, I have a feeling part of that is also Target is potentially banking them up because they want like when holidays come, they want pallets of these fuckers sitting out, so people just bum rush Target. And they obviously buy other things along the way, accessories and games and other, whatever stuff they find that's a good deal on Black Friday or whatever. Because I don't think there's going to be pallets of them available, like being shipped to the stores for Black Friday. I think stores are going to have to be clever and bank them up. But could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe all the manufacturing woes and the demand goes so down by then it's not a problem. Like it has for Switch. By the way, Switch is still selling incredible. It's still the best selling system every single month here in the United States. Like, it's just, hey, they caught up. Demand has come down to a point where manufacturing and demand have kind of hit that equilibrium. So now Nintendo's all good. It also technically means that Switch is officially on the downturn. I know we don't like to think about it, but Switch is on the downturn.
But we have
an incredible peak, though.
Million accounts. 100 million accounts.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, Nintendo still thinks they're going to sell another 20 mil this year.
Crazy,
so,
man.
like, it's crazy. We're going to have 3 consecutive years over 20 mil. That's what they project, by the way. Hopefully the projections don't go down. But they have so many killer games coming out. I think they'll hit it. Just game lineup alone. Eric, any thoughts on all this? You've been silent this whole time, and mid-gen refreshes. What do you think? A lot of people are angry about these.
No, I completely understand why they're angry. You're talking about an upgrade when you can't even produce the shit that you already have. I completely get it.
Plus, I heard a comment today on my Twitter where someone said, I got fucked over when I bought a launch PlayStation 4 because of the PlayStation 4 Pro. And I'm sitting there, you bought it at launch.
Yeah, no.
Did you not play games for 3 years?
Yeah, right.
You had 3 years of playing PlayStation 4 games before anyone who bought a Pro. I guess the definition of being fucked over to me is like if you want to argue you got fucked over by PlayStation 4 Pro, that's because you bought one within a year of it coming out, in my opinion. Like people buying
or the
Switches
day before they got it
like
out.
If a Switch Pro or a next gen Switch comes out like March next year with Breath of the Wild 2, if you're buying a Switch now, I can see a Switch OLED today. I can see how you might feel gypped that a year later there's that better system. But if you are still rocking your launch Switch from 2017, what are you complaining about? Aren't you ready? It's been almost 6 years.
No, I'm ready for it. I didn't think the OLED was
only the new people buying stuff today. I could feel gypped. And even then, they have to know in the back of their mind it's been 6 years.
Yeah, we're probably getting something soon, hopefully. But
yeah.
I guarantee it.
I can
guarantee it.
I can see
Nintendo Academy's stamp of approval.
Yeah, I can see how they would
get your checkbooks out. Go to Vegas. Get the bets in.
Don't buy if you have not bought a Nintendo Switch or OLED. Don't buy it. Don't buy it right now. Just wait.
Yeah.
I will say this in defense of buying a Nintendo Switch now. If there's enough games out to justify you spending the money and not caring about a new system coming out next 2 years, go ahead and buy it.
Buy a used one.
Yeah, you can get a used, or like you just want to play handheld, go get a light. $200 or less.
Oh, by the way, breaking news.
Oh,
no boy.
Okay.
Today, I bought a Nintendo Switch Lite on GameStop. Right, I have to buy one for my daughter because hers is broke. And it says go to the cart to see price on the brand new one. $149. What does that mean?
Are you sure was that brand new or refurbed?
Brand,
because GameStop will trick you sometimes.
New, brand spanking new. Let me go get Let me see if I can find the receipt.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm very curious. I'm gonna check right now. Is that a thing, right? Because we just had that $40 drop temporarily at Walmart and GameStop for the base Switch. Is this a thing?
So I'm just guessing.
Which color light was it? Maybe in case it's specific to the color. You know what? Hold on. Wait, no, that's refurbed. See, refurbed for $190. Where's brand?
Yeah, go to new and then add to cart. See if you can see the price.
Okay, let me grab a brand new one here for the $199 price. So let's go with just like a turquoise? Sure, let's go turquoise. All right, new. It says $199. Add to cart. Okay, be careful. What if you had some discounts? No, I'm not adding a 1-year plan. You cart.
Think I'm right.
Look, it's more expensive. No, it's ringing up as $214 with tax for me.
Okay, brand new.
Did you have like any GameStop promo points or anything applied to it potentially?
All right, let's see here. Okay, so no, I didn't have anything. Right now, it actually says on my end, it says add to cart to see price on the brand new one. Let me go ahead and screenshot.
Which one was that? What color?
I got the coral.
Coral? Let me check the coral.
Coral.
Could be color specific because they're all different SKUs. Let me try adding the coral. See pricing. Oh, I see the C pricing card for coral. Wait a second. We want new.
That could be it. That could be it.
Oh, is it the coral? And why the coral?
Maybe they're discontinued.
Hold on. The coral.
We might be getting new Nintendo Switch Lite.
I will say this. So only the coral. It does show me a discount.
Only for the coral.
$10 though. It's only a $10 discount. And this is not refurbed, this is brand new.
Brand new.
So they are showing me not a $50 discount, but they are showing me a $10 discount on just the coral. It's crazy. Like discount's coming. It has to be, right, guys? I mean, we're in year 6 right now. Year 6 technically concludes March 3rd of 2023. That's why you call it the 6th anniversary. That's 6 full years on the market. So we're in year 6 right now. Like a price drop's coming, right? Like it has to be by the holidays.
Dude, something in my gut tells me we're not getting just one console. We're getting 2 at the same time.
I don't think we're getting 2 at the same time.
I think
Nintendo likes to milk it every 2 years. Throw something out.
We're getting a pro level one, and we're getting a light one.
You think a light pro?
Yeah, a light version of an upgraded Nintendo Switch Lite. Whatever they're gonna release in the pro version for the docked version, I think we're also getting the light version of that.
I think that's going to depend greatly because like they feel the appeal of the light is that they can keep it at $200 or less. And if a Pro one actually has upgraded hardware, I don't see them being able to release that at $200.
I mean, they could lower this one, like for example,
they lowered to $150 or whatever. Like they did it with the 2DS.
Yeah, and then they skip that one for $199.
Yeah, they dropped that price real quick on the 2DS. Interesting. So again,
exciting moment.
More evidence that price drops are happening.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of feels like by the time we get to holiday, you're going to see a holiday price drop that just never goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like, special for Black Friday. Black Friday, you can now get the red box Switch for $250. Okay, it just never leaves.
It's a holiday price drop that goes away for a month and then comes back.
Yeah, it'll go away, and then they'll announce a new system.
That's how they can get away with calling it a holiday sale.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because it has to go away for.
Well, we've had holiday sales where the sale just never ended. It has happened. I don't know. Bottom line is, like, I feel like a price drop's coming. Obviously, the thing I want to see is OLED come down. I would like to see OLED drop to 300.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that opens the door. Then you can release a Pro at $399. By the way, I don't know if we're getting a Pro. It could be next gen. I have no idea. But it can open the door for a $399 model, especially if because like I have the thought process that if a Pro is real, what if it is actually a next gen in terms of the leap in capabilities, but Nintendo's like, we don't care, it's still the same family of systems.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. They're gonna treat the OLED version as like the S version of the Xbox, and then the next one as the actual Pro version, but keep it with the Switch branding.
And that's one reason, though. Like, if it's gonna be like a next gen in terms of power, that's why I think they won't do that and the light at the same time. They'll save the upgraded light for 2 years later when it's cheaper, to where they can maybe hit a $200 price point with it potentially. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. This is all speculation, of course. The big thing we do know, supposedly from TCL, is that we're getting mid-gen upgraded PS5s and Xboxes, which I think we should have expected anyways. But
right, and it all really depends on when they come out too. Like if
it's 2024,
like this next year here, it's like
I don't think anyone's gonna be mad. If it's 2024, I don't think people are gonna be mad.
Right.
2023, I think some people will be really, really upset because I think that's around the time that the other the base models will start to actually be available.
Yeah.
And people always wonder, where are the Slims? And then usually the Slims come first. Where are the Slims?
And then the Pro version
Mike already has one
now going to be not findable. You're going to be able to find the regular PS5 all over the place if it's 2023. You're going to be able to find those all over the place.
Yeah, I think by summer of 2023, you're going to be able to easily get a PS5.
No. If they come out with a Pro version, you're going to be able to find the PS5 all over the place, but you're not going to be able to find the Pro, and you're just going to kick the can down the road, and you're not going to be able to find.
Here's why I want a Pro to come out. Here's why I want a Pro to come out in 2023. For the PlayStation 5.
So you can actually buy a PS5?
No. I'm going to be aiming for the Pro.
Yeah.
All the scalpers sitting on those PS5s are going to be fucking pissed
hilarious,
because they're going to have to sell at a massive loss to get rid of their inventory.
That is going to be the creme de la creme of that part.
But like, buy a PlayStation. Oh, my Walmart has 50 PlayStation 5s. Yeah, but go on eBay and you can get it for $150 off because the scalpers can't get rid of them. Then give the scalper some money. Yeah, you're not. They're losing money.
That'll be awesome.
That'll be great. But again, that is going to piss off people who've been fighting for PlayStation 5 this whole time. That's why I said I don't think they're going to announce it until it's already readily available and been readily available for at least a year. That's why I think 2024 is a possibility.
Right.
It also gives you 4 years out from when it launched.
Yeah.
You can argue, okay, they usually do it in 3. Okay, yeah, but extra year because of the pandemic. And I think Sony would obviously love to run an 8-year system if they can. So would Xbox. So we'll see what happens. And obviously, next up, guys, I don't think, let me put it this way: a Pro for PlayStation 5 and Xbox is not coming out before we get an upgraded hardware Switch. I'm just throwing that up there. It ain't happening before we get an upgraded hardware Switch.
It's not. I think, and I'm super excited about this, and I'm willing to bet on this, that this next console will be the first backwards compatible console. I mean, compatible with every Nintendo Switch game released. I think this is going to be the first true backwards compatible console and the first of many going forward, because Nintendo wants to concentrate on accounts. They want to protect people's accounts, and they want to make sure that they move these accounts forward to the next console without losing customers, and they're doing the Switch Online membership
to
subscription.
Clarify, you mean true backwards compatible in the current digital era?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
The 3DS was fully backwards compatible with everything on DS, and we could play all the GameCube games.
Yeah, when it comes to digital games, when it comes to all the digital games that
But then again, and to clarify, for Nintendo specifically, because PlayStation 5 is fully backwards compatible, so is Xbox.
Yeah, just specifically for Nintendo. Nintendo's a little bit.
I'm just clarifying because you were like the first ever, and I'm like,
No, I didn't say first ever. I said the first
true. You said
Nintendo,
true.
First true. Yeah, first true Nintendo Switch, next gen, whatever compatible. If you own, let's say you own Mario Odyssey, you don't have to buy Mario Odyssey again. You can continue to download Mario Odyssey in your next console.
Sure.
Okay. I think this is it for Nintendo. I think Nintendo learned their lesson this time. They want to keep those.
AKA, don't look for Nintendo Selects. Odyssey's going $60 for another 5 years. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you don't own it, then just wait and get it, on a discount price.
Hey, for your $60, in a few years, you might get the upgraded resolution version. So just.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They might upcharge you like $10 more to get the. If you already own it,
it'll be 70 instead.
If you already own it, if you already own it, but Microsoft gives it for free. Why not? Sometimes. So if you already own the copy of a certain game, and then they have a higher.
The funny thing is, if Nintendo did it, it wouldn't even surprise me.
Right?
It'd be so much backlash. Like Sony, $70. Yeah, and guess what? Backlash. They're still doing it. So what are you gonna do?
This is it, man. This is it.
It's coming. I don't like these conversations coming out just because it reminds me that, hey, cool, now we're talking PlayStation 5 Pro. The new Switch is coming before that, right? This is not like a dark secret. We are not getting a PlayStation 5. If we get a PlayStation 5 Pro before we get an upgraded Switch, number one, by upgraded internal hardware Switch, number one, Switch is officially the best selling system of all time. Period. End of story. Because the only reason because they keep selling 20 million of them a year. Sure, if you can keep selling 20 million a year, milk the fuck out of it. Yeah, you're gonna have 200 million of these things out there, and you're gonna be untouchable. But if it does happen, I am going to have to do something that I fear, and that is I will blend 2 shots of tequila with some sauerkraut and drink it live on this podcast if PlayStation 5 Pro comes out before an upgraded Switch. That's how much I believe. That is the most vomit-inducing thing I could throw into my system. The instant projectile vomit, and that is how confident I am. There is no way in hell a PlayStation 5 Pro is coming out before an upgraded hardware Switch of some type. I'm not putting money down on a Pro or a Switch 2. Upgraded internal hardware. And I'm not going to be one of those people that's like, oh, well, now there's a Switch for 64 gigabytes of internal storage. So that's technically upgrade. No.
Nope.
CPU, GPU, RAM.
Yes.
One of them.
And
One of them
bigger
has to be upgraded. Hopefully
and a
all
bigger
of them.
screen. And okay, all right. So how about we do this? Now that you stated that, how about Eric, you and I, just figure something discussing like you just did. You know, like discussing. If it happens, we have to.
Force yourself
we have
to do
to
a stale one chip challenge again.
Oh God!
I'll force myself into a Whopper.
That was rough. You got over it after a bit, but that was rough for a couple hours.
I'll do another
I'll
stale
force
one chip
myself
challenge.
into a Whopper from Burger King.
I'll make sure I buy ones
Whopper
from
from Burger
2020
King?
all over again.
Don't like Whoppers from Burger King?
Oh, not this Burger King. I like Burger King from my childhood. This Burger King sucks.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So let me get this straight. I'm going to do tequila that I hate, sauerkraut that already makes me vomit on its own, blended together. And you guys are going to do what? Old Whoppers?
I like.
How about we do it?
Yeah, of course you do. I need a day old Whopper. It would taste gross and it's still better than what I'm doing. Oh my God. I don't care how gross you're. Okay. Do you like burgers? Mike, do you like
me?
burgers? Yes.
Not Burger King ones.
But do you like burgers? I legitimately hate all forms of sauerkraut and all forms of tequila.
Oh, well. Okay, yeah. So I got to find something.
Something that's like, oh, this Burger King burger sucks. Yeah. Okay, I've had shitty food before too. Doesn't make me projectile vomit.
Let's do another one chip challenge.
All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead.
Can Mike do it though?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he can handle the spice.
Let's get the hot sauce challenge and the hot sauce then.
Oh, so we have the hot sauce stuff happening potentially on our Prime Gaming Fest because it's on the Wheel of Death. But one thing that's not on it that we did last year, well, he did because he lost, was he did the one chip challenge. And the key thing here, it wasn't just that it was the one chip challenge, which is hot as shit. It's that it was a stale
and I didn't eat
one chip challenge.
And I hadn't eaten it.
Yeah, I know you hadn't eaten, but I think that would be a legitimate punishment.
Let's do it.
Doing a stale one chip challenge. I mean, basically you have to go eBay and buy one that's like a year old.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They're like $20 or something.
That?
Yeah.
They sell that.
Yeah. That's the only way. By the way, it wasn't when he did it last year on our E3 extravaganza, I didn't intend for it to be a stale one. I knew it was going to be because they were sold out because of the pandemic. So you could only buy old ones. So I kind of knew it was going to be stale. It wasn't intentional. But now it's like, but I know he struggles a little bit with the stale one. So
yeah,
if you're going to do something like that, like I'm trying to think of ways of punishing Eric by consumption is very difficult.
Yes.
Unless we're going to go drink straight up ocean water again. And I'm worried about bacteria with it.
I still rocked
You survived it. Your stomach did not like you during the flight, but he held it down.
Yeah.
And he was fine.
I have an iron stomach.
But there's also the danger in, this is what we didn't think about, is the bacteria that could be in the water. There's slightly a danger by just swallowing ocean water.
That would explain a lot.
But this is something that isn't going to kill you. It's just, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot, and it gets worse the longer that it lasts. The longer you go without drinking.
I've done ghost peppers.
Well, this isn't ghost pepper. I think they make it out of Carolina Reapers.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know exactly
what it is, but yeah, one of them.
And I think they have even hotter ones. Every year they get a little bit hotter as we get hotter and hotter peppers. Like now, I think the chocolate Carolina or the chocolate Reaper. That's not the hot. I don't know. There's a hotter pepper now than Carolina Reaper. There's a few.
Reaper Scorpion Sealed. Reaper Scorpion something.
Yeah, there's some out there. And by the way, it's really easy to keep up on it because Hot Ones is always talking about it as they
still
make.
The Reaper.
I'm ordering right now. By the way, I'm ordering the hot chip right now because I'm in.
Well, to be fair, hold on. If you order a current one today, by the time this bet comes through, it will be stale.
Okay, awesome.
It technically will be stale. It technically will be stale because
I'm ordering it. Actually, it comes from overseas, so even better.
It comes from overseas, even better. Right. Is there a hotter pepper than?
I just googled the hottest pepper in the world, and it's still Carolina
Dragon's
Reaper.
Breath. Is expected. It hasn't been rated yet. Yeah. Wait, this is back in 2017. It is expected to be crowned as the world's hottest pepper. It's far hotter. Anything far hotter than the Carolina Reaper scares me.
I don't know.
Which is the current. So the Carolina Reaper is the. So I think what happens is there's a difference between being the world record holder. So the Carolina Reaper is I think still the Guinness World Record holder. The problem with peppers hotter than it is once you get to a certain Scoville level, it's so hard to rate above it So like getting the verification needed to put a pepper ahead of it in the Guinness World, it must be just extremely difficult. Because I think there is a certain point you hit with the Scoville level. Carolina Reaper might be it, that like it just doesn't matter. It's just straight heat and everything just kind of blends together at some point.
I'm checking out right now. I'm checking I'm paying. Checking out.
Pepperhead.com has a new article this year.
That's what I'm looking at.
With the 10 hottest. And they have
Carolina Reaper's
they still have Carolina Reaper at number 1. They have the Trinidad Scorpion, which is really close to it. That's really close.
It's really not.
Well, I mean, it is relative to like the differences. 200,000 Scoville, but like we're in the millions. So
I mean, yeah.
So
that's still a quarter million, almost.
Yeah, some of the ones that I'm talking about, like the Dragon's Breath, isn't even. I think what happens is some of these newer peppers, the last like 5 years, just haven't been rated yet.
I mean, that's possible, but right now,
as long as nobody dies on stream, we're good to go. We're good.
Yeah, as long as.
Well, we're not doing that. We're doing the chip challenge, which you can survive. Yeah, ghost pepper.
Okay.
I don't know, ghost pepper's a mill, huh? I've done ghost pepper a couple times.
Yep.
I've literally ate one on a stream before. I mean, by the way, it wasn't like it was enjoyable.
Spicy hot chicken ramen noodles times 2 spicy. That sounds amazing.
That sounds tasty. Eric sees that and goes, "That just sounds good.
That sounds amazing."
Yeah,
I want punishments. Punishments.
I like spicy.
Not, oh my God, extra spicy ramen noodles. Okay. One, noodles help kill some of the spice anyways, because it's a carb. Get out of here. Just raw dog the packets in your mouth. That would be a bigger challenge. And even then, hold on. What is the spice level of it? Hold on. Spicy ramen is what uses what pepper? Hold on. What pepper is in it? It's habanero.
Oh.
So,
all right, so
I love habanero.
Like you could literally, I could eat habanero. Like it could just be in a pile and I'll just eat them. By the way, it still can be a little hot if you've had a few.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But you got something to drink, you're good to go. Anyways, we gotta probably end the podcast. My dog is just screaming. His bladder must be exploding.
Yeah.
Anyways, I want to think you got something you want to add, Mike? Quick. I'm sorry, my dog is really going nuts.
I just bought the chip. It expired in 2021. It gets here on June 2nd.
All right.
So,
Eric, we're gonna have to get you a 2021 chip.
Yeah. All right.
Wait. So what happens if we eat?
Where'd you get it at?
I got it at eBay.
Yeah, on eBay. Okay, yeah, it's the only place you can really get them. So what'd you say now? You're trying to clarify what the bet is?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and clarify the bet here.
So the bet is simple. If a PlayStation 5 Pro, we're just talking about PS5. We can throw the Xbox in too if we want to be extra spicy.
Okay.
Sure. If the Xbox or PlayStation have a upgraded hardware, not a slim down, an upgraded hardware model come out before there is some sort of upgraded hardware switch, then we have to do it.
Got it.
Pretty simple. Basically, an upgraded switch has to come out before the other platforms release upgraded platforms.
Fair enough.
If it doesn't, and the other platforms beat Switch to the punch, then we're all fucked.
Mm-hmm.
We're all. No, watch. I think this. I think this because I've seen him do the one chip, and then Mike does it, and he's like, "Dude, this is nothing."
Yeah, right.
And then like because there's a chart that comes with it that'll tell you like how long you should try to last before you take a drink to see what your rating going to be, and you're going to be like, "Dude, I just went all day." Yeah. We just did a 7-hour podcast, and I still haven't taken a sip.
Yeah. I think
that you call that hot?
What'd they make it 10?
You call that
minutes?
hot? I eat Carolina Reapers for breakfast.
Yeah. But yeah,
I wonder if there is anyone who eats them for breakfast.
Well, I'm sure there are.
There's something about the Scoville that also like can eat away at part of your ingestion if you eat too many of them. Sure. So that's why I'm like, is there anyone that actually does it? Because even if you don't feel the heat, doesn't mean that it won't do the damage to the organs.
There are.
I don't know.
I'm sure a few people out there that have.
They'll be like, "Oh, I just put a little sprinkle on." That's not what I mean. Grab one and eat it every day.
Yeah.
Build up that immunity like people do with poison. You just slow drip the poison so you can get immune to it.
Right.
Dude, I got homemade Puerto Rican hot sauce. It's crazy.
Oh no!
Yum.
It's a bottle, You want me to go get it and show you the bottle?
No, I gotta go. My dog is going nuts.
All right,
Next podcast. Next podcast.
I'll go get it. and show you.
Yeah, we can kick off talking. We can grab our favorite bottle of hot sauce and show it off.
Heck yeah.
Start off
I mean,
with a
so
little
I
hot sauce.
literally have to use a drop. I literally have to use one drop. If I do more than one drop,
If I
I'm
find
done.
out that that's just habanero in there, I'm gonna feel bad for you for the one chip challenge.
Yeah, a little bit.
If it's habanero that's making you do the one drop, I'm gonna be like, oh boy, you're done with the one chip. You better hope that we don't actually need them. Hope we don't actually need them, and that we save it for some other bet. Or you know what happens? It'll get sent to me, and I'll finally lose some sort of match on live stream with Eric, and I'll have to eat both chips.
Yep.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Why am I giving ideas? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can catch the podcast wherever podcasts are heard. That's it. I'm not really going to list them all off. There's too many to list. I am actually going to have episode 52 out on the Nintendo Prime Podcast channel tomorrow, the day after. I'm all caught up. 51's actually uploaded. It's going live tonight. 52 is going live tomorrow. All caught up, and I can finally start doing clips.
Yeah, right.
We're going to be clipping out this challenge. Oh, boy.
Fun.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Later.
Go follow Mike Barris, Nintendo Academy. I hit 78th thou around the same time he hit 10.4. I feel like we were trying to make a mini bet around that never metastasized.
Yeah, it never happened.
It was one of those, we had a brief convo and it never went anywhere. And then we kind of sort of hit it at the same time, so we don't have to argue about who got it first. Because I technically hit it last night, but then it went away, and then it came back today, and it might have gone away during this podcast. I have no idea. I'm teetering. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next week for episode 53.
Peace.
Later.